Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTubes. I am Joe Atticus Inch, and welcome to Poet Love. If you happen to watch yesterday's video on the lovely Barbara Fant, you might have noticed I might have had a little reaction to pulling today's poet's name out of the magic shoebox. It's nothing bad. Rewatching the video, it's nothing bad. The reason I had said reaction to the name is because I don't want to screw it up. I don't want to screw this up. This poet deserves... Today's poet deserves so much love that I want... If you're someone who never has heard of this poet, and I want to make sure you get the perfect example of how great this poet is. So for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Patricia Smith. And usually this is the point where I would start the biography, yada, how these episodes usually roll. Like I said, I don't want to get anything wrong. I want you, the viewer, if you've never heard of Patricia Smith, to know exactly what you're getting into if you get into her work. So for this, pardon if this seems a little unprofessional, but I'm going to have to go... I am on her website right now, wordwoman.ws, and I am just going to go down her bio real quick, not read word for word, but go down her bio, word for word, and tell you how qualified this poet is for your love of poetry, if you have a love for poetry. So let's just get started. Patricia Smith was born in Chicago. She's a Chicago, Illinois poet. Point 1 from her biography. She is the author of 6 critically acknowledged volumes of poetry. She's been doing this a long time. And if you are wondering what kind of poetry, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Titles of books. Some of the titles of her books should have been Jimmy Savannah, Blood Dazzler, which we'll get to, Life According to Motown, Close to Death, and Big Towns, Big Talk. Other examples of her books. She is the editor of the crime fiction anthology Staten Island Noir. Editor of the crime fiction anthology Staten Island Noir. That means she just doesn't dabble in poetry. I love it. I love it when... I love someone like Patricia Smith when their identity is so much more to just poetry. Maybe it's because throughout my life people have called me smart because I do poetry. They're wrong. But we're just at the tip of the iceberg. So 6 critically acknowledged volumes of poetry, many other influential books. Editor of a crime fiction anthology. Her other books include Africans in America, a companion volume to the groundbreaking 4-part PBS history series. So she wrote a companion to a show on PBS that most people are afraid to watch. Honestly, most people are not going to spend, that at least I know, are really going to spend an evening watching a documentary on PBS. PBS is for Sesame Street. That's what PBS is for. Alright, going on. Patricia's work has appeared in various publications, including poetry, including the journal's 100th anniversary issue, the Paris Review, Killer Verse, Poems of Mayhem and Murder, She is the recipient of 2 pushcart prizes for her poems The Way Pilots Walk and Laugh Your Troubles Away. And we're still going. We're still going. Hey, do you not love this woman yet? Do you not want to go and read something of hers right now or hear something of hers? Well, if not, let's continue. She's, of course, done the traveling thing. Poet stage in Stockholm, Urban Voices in South Africa, Rotterdam's Poetry International Festival, the Aran Islands International Poetry and Prose Festival, Carnegie Hall Dodge Poetry Festival, Bumbershoot, the Folger Shakespeare Library, and St. Mark's Poetry Project. And let's see, sharing the stage with noted writers such as Adrienne Rich, Sharon Olds, Rita Dove, Carol, Allen Ginsberg, Billy Collins, Lord of the Ring stars Viggo Mortensen. Yeah, I bet you didn't know he wrote poetry. It's actually pretty good poetry. Aragon is a poet. Fuck yeah. She's collaborated with musicians. She is the 4-time national individual champion of the notorious and wildly popular Poetry Slam, which means before there was iWhips, nationals used to have the individual competitions there as well. That way you have the best team and the best individual. But then they decided to just branch it off. She won that thing 4 times. No one else has won it 4 times, at least of my knowledge. She was featured in the nationally released film Slam Nation, and of course appeared on Def Poetry Jam. Yeah. She's got her CDs. A short film of her performing the poem Undertaker, produced by Tied to the Tracks Films, won awards at Sundance. As a budding voiceover artist, she was the radio voice for the Oil of Olay Total Effects product line. And not just that, we're coming to the end of Patricia's biography on her website, www.wordwoman.ws, and her book Blood Dazzler, which is the book that really is where I started noticing the influence that Patricia Smith has around the people around me. Blood Dazzler is about Hurricane Katrina. And she has a poem in there about, which, when she performs it, it's about people stuck in, actual people who are stuck in a retirement home during Hurricane Katrina. And it's all their voices going on as that is happening. She does each voice differently. It is amazing to see. I unfortunately have not had a chance to see it perform live. I don't know if I ever will. It is amazing. So anyway, Blood Dazzler, I would suggest that's the book to start with. That's my own personal opinion. I would say that's the book to start with if you want to get into Patricia Smith. But anyway, about that book, according to her biography, Blood Dazzler was the basis for a dance theater production which sold out a week-long series of performances at New York's Harlem Stage. Yeah. A book of poetry got turned into a very successful stage show. See, the play company in New York City produced Professional Suicide, a one-woman show that got its start while Smith was writer-in-residence at the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center. I am a theater major. I've done theater all my life. I love theater, and that's one of the things that drew me to slam poetry was the aspects of not just the good writing, but the performance of it. And Eugene O'Neill is one of my favorite playwrights. So me personally, just seeing her associated with a theater center that's associated with him, amazing. She's also performed another play based on Life According to Motown, was staged in Hartford, Connecticut, and reviewed favorably in the New York Times. She is also a teacher, which, my God, the life this woman has lived now, this life the woman has lived, she should be teaching. She should be teaching today's youth. This is how you be fucking awesome. This is how you can properly use the term fucking awesome. And she's not just like a high school teacher. She is a college professor. A college professor means she has her master's. She is smarter than you. I'm sorry to say, she's smarter than me. She's smarter than you. She's probably one of the smartest people you might ever meet. Just based not just on a book sense, but as I've gone through a life sense. And you know what? Another reason this episode was hard for me and why I gave the reaction at the end of the Bard fan episode, I actually met Patricia once. And I had no idea who she was. This was back in 2008. I went to this one of the few times, I actually drove. I live in Columbus. I drove to Dayton, which is about 45 minutes away, for a poetry show. It was Patricia Smith and Buddy Wakefield. And at that time, I was just getting to slam poetry, and I only knew Buddy. That was the name that caused me to drive the reason I drove that distance. And so Buddy was like the celebrity to me. Patricia was like an opening act. Yeah, you're seeing why I feel stupid right now? Not to put down Buddy. God, everyone who knows me knows I love Buddy, and I love Buddy's work. And that's going to be a special episode too, when I pull Buddy's name from the Magic Shoebox. But I had the chance to talk to Patricia before the show, and I told her that I did poetry, and she asked if I was going to perform. Thinking about that now, it kind of blows my mind that Patricia Smith would think that I'd be in the caliber of poet who would perform with her. So she did the show, and I really liked the poetry. It was one of those different things that I didn't really hear just getting started in slam poetry. Because the writing was just so good. I mean, they're poets. I mean, I was coming from a theater background, just starting into performance poetry. I never really know what to call it sometimes. So, like, I was more in the aspects of the performance, but she commanded the stage with just her words. And here's the thing. I had the privilege to go after the show, have dinner with Patricia and Buddy. And I needed a ride there because I didn't want to get lost, so I hitched a ride. Jumped in. I rode in my friend Dave's van, Dave Nichols, who again we'll get to probably. Patricia was in the front seat and Buddy was next to me. I was extremely excited about having Buddy next to me, as I stated. Buddy was like a celebrity to me when I was getting started. But having being in the same car as Dave Nichols, so if anyone knows Dave, Buddy Wakefield, and Patricia Smith. Why I still have a head, I don't know, because it should have exploded at that point. But anyway, on the ride back, Patricia asked me to do a poem. Patricia Smith asked me to do a poem in a car with her, Dave Nichols, and Buddy Wakefield. I must have looked like an ass. I must have. 'Cause my God, that should have been the point in my life. It's like, dude, you gotta write better poetry. Patricia Smith just asked you to do a poem in a car with her, Dave Nichols, and Buddy Wakefield. My God, boy. What kind of caliber poem could you have done? But yet, at the same time, it was one of the best experiences of my life. That was 2008, so that was about 5 years ago, and I still remember that night clearly, and Patricia is a great reason for it. So ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube, support Patricia Smith any way you can. Visit her website, read her bio, find out where she's teaching, find out where she's performing, purchase her books, read her books, because I mean, and you can find poems from her anywhere. I have a couple examples here of her. These are like textbooks for me. This is the Spoken Word Revolution and the Spoken Word Revolution Redux. You can find Patricia's poems in here, plus many other great poets. And another just thing, this book called Poetry, an Introduction 6th edition. Patricia's in here. You know why I have this book? This was my textbook for my Intro to Poetry class that I took last year. Patricia's poems are being used in other anthologies to teach kids good poetry. I'm speechless to the fact that I met someone like this and made a complete ass of myself. So ladies and gentlemen of the YouTubes, we're going to draw tomorrow's name before, you know, I get incinerated or something. Check out Patricia Smith. The link to her website, www.wordwoman.ws, will be in the credits after this video. So we're picking out tomorrow's name, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't think it would happen so fast. Keep your pens writing. Live long and prosper. Ladies and gentlemen of the YouTubes, I'm Joe Axinch. Have a good day.